Welcome to Cross Transformation. It's Mariam here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how does your ego identify you? Does your ego identify you with abuse? And I'm going to be focusing on verbal abuse. You see, I thought that verbal abuse was a style of communication. My ego had its identity in that verbal abuse because that was the style of communication that I had going on with my mother. So we never knew how to talk, how to communicate our needs, how to respect each other, how to love each other. So we kept walking into abusive realities together. We weren't able to communicate stuff. We couldn't communicate the conflict that we had. It was always about abusing each other. So I became quite abusive because I was observing my mother. And for so long, I didn't know that I was doing that because that was all I knew back in time. Communication was verbal abuse. Or at least my style of communication was verbal abuse. So my ego couldn't do any better because, as I said, it had its identity in abuse. It was identifying Mariam with verbal abuse. Walking into relationships that would reflect on what I had with mother. The abusive Mariam, the abusive partner. So again, I had to do the healing work to identify myself with a healthier style of communication, listening, hearing what somebody else is saying. That communication doesn't mean fighting with each other. That communication doesn't mean arguing with each other, punishing each other, stonewalling each other. Communication is about listening, hearing, but it took me some time to get rid of that identity that my ego had, because ego loves to identify itself with pain. And verbal abuse is of pain. The spirit of the ego, that is spirit, loves to experience the state of suffering, pain, and more, which will eventually become the state of suffering. So when we are dealing with a narcissist, when we keep walking into toxic relationships, we are in this state of suffering because our ego is identifying itself with pain over time. Pain, more pain. So that's why it's hard to end or to put an end to those toxic relationships, because somehow our ego is dwelling on pain, on those earlier traumas, the observations we had, the interactions we had. So, is your style of communication verbal abuse? Think about it. Mine was. I didn't know it. I had to heal myself. I had to realize my perceptions, my meanings. I had to work through them, to release them. I had to come out of identifying myself with abuse. The next thing that I learned, people's feelings and emotions. My relationship with my mother was to do with her feelings and emotions. I had a relationship with my mom's feelings and emotions, not herself. And I kept repeating that with the partners that I had back in time. The same was going on with them. They were in a relationship with Mariam's feelings and emotions, those negative emotions, anger, sadness, anxiety, right? So my ego was identifying Mariam with those negative feelings and emotions. And to survive, my ego was taking me to toxic relationships. So I would be experiencing the same pattern that I had going on with my mother. Being in a relationship with anger, being in a relationship with sadness, being in a relationship with rage. So the question is your ego identifying you with those negative feelings? And in order to survive, it keeps taking you to realities that are toxic so you can experience more of those feelings. So you're not in a relationship with the person, you're in a relationship with those emotions and feelings. So it's good to have discernment that what is going on here? Am I in a relationship with this person, or am I in a relationship with these negative emotions and feelings because I've been experiencing them since my childhood? The angry mother hasn't departed my experience. It's just someone else. So I'm still in a relationship with that borderline anger, with that narcissistic anger. So check in with yourself. What's going on in your relationship? Are you in a relationship with that person or those negative emotions and feelings that you observed in your parents as a child? If that's the case, you've got a relationship going on with that borderline anger, with narcissistic rage. Heal yourself. We need to do the healing work. We need to let go of ego's desire to identify itself with those emotions and feelings. So when it comes to verbal abuse, look into communication. Communication style. Is your communication style aligned with verbal abuse? Also, are you in a relationship with those negative emotions that you happen to observe as a child? That's it for today's video. Hopefully you'll find this helpful. I want to thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Be at peace. Look after your precious soul. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless you.